Hey guys, Kloosless here. Lately I'm getting a lot of requests to start doing some of these Ableton tutorials, so I figured now is a good time with the start of the new year. My first video is going to be on tips and tricks for Ableton Live automation, so here we go. My first tip is how to select the parameter you want to automate. So typically you would go to these drop-down menus and you would hit the device and then the parameter within that device in these drop-down menus. But that's not the best way to do it. Ableton's a lot smarter than that, and it'll actually autofill these drop-down menus with whatever you last collect. So if I wanted to edit track volume, you just click track volume. If I wanted to edit like pan, you just click pan and automatically goes to panning. Now this is also true for racks. Let's say I wanted to edit like the frequency cutoff of this instrument. Just click frequency, and there we go. Now we have EQ8, frequency 8. So it's frequency 8, this knob, frequency. Easy peasy. Alright, so let's go ahead and do some basic volume automation on my strings right here. I'll let you guys listen to what we're working with. It's just something I'm screwing around with. Alright, so just for an example, I'm going to fade in these strings. So I'm just going to click our volume right here on this channel, and then I'm going to zoom in. And then I'm just going to draw in for 2 bars. 2 bars. Just draw in this fade in right here. So now we have. And that works great, but there's a caveat. So if we go over to our clip view, you'll see here that I've lost control of my fader because it's being automated. If you play it, you can actually watch it go up. And that's fine, but when you get later down the road and I want to mix this, I'm not going to be able to use this fader to mix. I'm going to have to go into this view, highlight all of my automation, and then drag it all up, which is not the best way to do it because it squashes it, and it's just not a good way to do it. So there's a way to get around this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the automation I just drew. And instead of using track volume, I'm going to drag on a utility onto this track. And I'm going to use the gain of the utility instead, because we'll get the same effect, but then we retain control of our volume fader. So here you can listen. But if we go back over to our fader now, you can see that I still have control. And so now the fader will control the volume of the track, automation and all, and it'll leave our automation that we've drawn unaffected. There you go. And that's just a simple trick for volume automation, which is probably the most common automation that most people do. All right, there's my first trick, or second trick. All right, so for my third trick, this is really just a tip more than a trick, but I see a lot of times people, let's say they wanted to cut out, they wanted to put a volume dip right here. What they would do is they'd zoom in real far. Let's use let's gain. Let's delete the automation on gain. And they would put four little dots, and then they would drag down that bar. And that works fine. Let's not do it all the way. But it's just not the best way to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo that just 5 times. And then I'm going to highlight the area I want to change and then drag the bar. And Ableton will automatically create those 4 dots. And then from there, if you wanted to drag them around and do some more clever automation, you could. But it's just an easy way to do it. It's also a really good way to do fade-ins. So if I go to the beginning here, let's say I want to fade in for this first, let's see, fade in for these first 4 bars. You can just highlight, drag down, and then you can just uncheck those two dots, and you have a perfect measure to measure slope, which is just a nice way to do it. And you can also hold Alt or Option when you're doing automation near a line, and it'll bring up that little swirly line next to your cursor, and then you can actually bend the lines, which is a great way to get little quick peaks up, so we can listen to that if you want. There we go. So that's pretty cool. So then I think my last tip is don't automate anything real complex on top of the clip itself. You can use this little plus button right here. It'll actually drop the automation into its own little lane, which is really nice because now automation is independent of the clip behind it, and you can copy, cut, paste, and duplicate just the automation without affecting the clip above it. So if we try to if we pull this back up, and I wanted to, let's say, duplicate this, what it did was actually duplicated the clip underneath it again. So I'm just going to undo that. But if you drop it down and I wanted to duplicate it, let's just redraw to be safe. I'm not totally sure what it'll do. There you go. So now you have, we didn't cut any of the clip, we only edited the automation, which is really nice. You can also resize this. And this will also stay there even if you click other things. So if I go into here and I want to change like the high pass cut right here, use the filter. I'm sorry, low pass. It will it'll bring it up here and it'll leave this gain utility down here, which is just nice. Alright guys, so I think that's all of my little tips and tricks. I hope you guys like this short video. If you have any more suggestions for anything you want me to see me do or show you guys, just leave them in the comments below and I'll do them. Cool guys, later.